It's the Y'all Show virtual tour of the Alabama Mountain Lakes. Welcome back. And you talk about a segue. In the previous segment, Brenda Cantrell of Unclaimed Baggage Center was on with us. And now the transition of all transitions. We're going to go from Scottsboro, going to head west on US 72, going to go right through Huntsville. And we're going to go now to Decatur, Alabama. And Big Bob Gibson Bar-B-Que is where we're going to be dropping by. But the pitmaster and owner of Big Bob Gibson is a proud alumnus of Unclaimed Baggage Center, not in Scottsboro. They used to have one in Florence, he tells me. Chris Lilly is on with us right now, and he's come a long way from going through people's luggage. He's really a big star in the world of barbecue, and he's on with us right now. Hello, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, John? Appreciate the invitation on the show, and that's a true story. When I was in high school, I worked at Unclaimed Baggage of Florence, so I do have experience with going through people's luggage. I'm a hands-on guy, so barbecue, unclaimed baggage, that's me.
Do you remember selling or finding something in a luggage that sticks out all these years later?
Yes, but probably stuff that we probably can't talk to, and if this is going on Facebook.
Yeah, well, Unclaimed Baggage Center, their main headquarters in Scottsboro. I just have to wonder what kind of stuff got sent to the Florence location. I wonder if it was the stuff they didn't want to go through in Scottsboro.
Some of the trucks you went through, you bought it by the piece, by the 18-wheeler load, and you went through it piece by piece. And some of the trucks weren't worth a whole lot of money, but every now and then you get a truck roll up with some really good luggage, really good pieces. Found a gold and silver knife set one time that probably was the most expensive thing we found in there, like old knives, but really pretty cool stuff. But as always, you open up the baggage, you don't know what's in there, and it's always a surprise.
Chris Lilly, you moved on from Unclaimed Baggage and you find yourself in the barbecue industry. I guess love helped put you there, right?
I tell you, it did. It's interesting. I met my wife in college. I went to UNA there in Florence, and met my wife in college. Graduated from there, moved to Franklin, Tennessee, married my wife, and then her father offered me the job to come back down to Big Bob Gibson's in Decatur, learn the business, and learn barbecue. My wife's great-grandfather was Big Bob Gibson, who started the restaurant in 1925 here in Decatur.
How about that? Yeah, almost 100 years strong now in Decatur, right on the Tennessee River. Great place there in North Alabama. Of course, North Alabama, part of our Alabama Mountain Lakes showcase here on today's Y'all Show, our spring swing tour of the 16 counties of the heart of Dixie. And Chris Lilly, you are a pitmaster. You're not just an owner. You've put a lot of work into learning the skill of making great barbecue. You put it on display there at your two locations in Decatur, but also we can find you on television shows. We can find you at barbecue competitions and more, as Big Bob Gibson's is world renowned for their great barbecue, but specifically the Alabama white sauce there. What is the story on that?
So back in the early 20s, Big Bob Gibson had two sauces. He cooked two meats. He cooked whole pork shoulder. He had a thin vinegar-based sop mop, is what he called it. If anybody's from eastern North Carolina, think of an eastern North Carolina barbecue sauce, thin vinegar-based, salt, lemon pepper, or lemon juice, black pepper, cayenne pepper, really simple sauce that we based on all our pork shoulders. And then he had the white barbecue sauce, which is still a vinegar-based sauce, but it has mayonnaise in it. It makes it white, but there's a whole lot of fresh, coarse ground black pepper, and it's a tangy, peppery flavor. It keeps the chicken from drying out, plus it gives it a fantastic flavor. It is a beautiful barbecue sauce, and I'm starting to see it all over the world now when I travel.
And yes, I have too, in grocery stores around the South and more. A really unique thing, and unlike any other sauce, if you've ever had a kind of an assortment of barbecue sauces, make sure you try the Alabama white sauce. And you can go to bigbobgibson.com and order what Chris has there at the restaurant. They got a lot of great sauces and rubs and more. Even got some books. We'll talk about that in just a second as we're visiting with Chris Lilly, the pitmaster of Big Bob Gibson in Decatur, Alabama. And as I said, you also, Chris, go around the whole world as you showcase your barbecue prowess. And we've seen you on a bunch of television shows. We were just playing a little clip there from something you were on the Food Network, Comfort Nation. And we got to see that white sauce in play there. And tell me about how you have taken your skills outside of Decatur to go to these various barbecue competitions. What led you to do that?
Well, it's an interesting story. Back in probably 1996, we've got a lot of industry around Decatur, and we wanted to get a portable barbecue unit to go to those companies and do picnics and on-site caterings and stuff for the large numbers and the large companies. So we got a portable barbecue rig. In order to get the word out, we entered a barbecue competition in Huntsville, just to let people know that we're doing on site now. And through that, we entered the competition. We started doing really good. We won an automatic invitation to cook the World Championship at Memphis in May, and the rest is history. It was something we started doing as a hobby and started winning, and the winning sort of built a platform so we could promote the great history of Big Bob Gibson Bar-B-Que. And, that was, barbecue is sort of riding a wave of a lot of publicity, and it's real popular now. But, back when we first started cooking competitions, it wasn't so much. That was when Food Network was just getting going, and they were barely even covering barbecue. But the more we started winning, we started getting, appearance offers to come to the Today Show and Good Morning America and Food Network, and then it just started escalating with the popularity of barbecue, especially on the shows. So we hit it. We've been in the barbecue business a long time, but I think we started cooking competitions, started getting the publicity a good time.
And he used those opportunities on the Today Show and the Food Network to ultimately climb the mountain. And he's now on the Y'all Show, Talk with a Southern Accent. We're visiting with Chris Lilly, pitmaster, owner of Big Bob Gibson Bar-B-Que in Decatur, Alabama. And Chris, I'm going to let you brag, and don't be bashful. If my count is correct, and it might have even gone up since I did the counting, you are a 10-time world champion?
So it's always interesting because there's several contests that consider themselves World Barbecue Championships. So the American Royal, Memphis in May, Jack Daniel's World Barbecue Championship, and the Houston Livestock and Rodeo Show. So those are the four biggies in the United States. We have won 17 world championships in specific categories, such as pork shoulder, beef brisket, ribs, and chicken. We've won 5 grand championships or overall barbecue championships at the Memphis in May World Barbecue Championship. We've won the American Royal. We have been to Jamaica and won an international world championship in Jamaica. It was a Jamaican jerk, American style barbecue championship. So really depends on who's counting. But we've been very, very successful, and a lot of that success goes back to Big Bob Gibson's and the generations of barbecuers before me that really built a platform that I could work off. There's so much knowledge that I got when I started working in the pit rooms at Big Bob Gibson Bar-B-Que. So it's definitely not all me. Gosh, there's just so much knowledge that has been passed down, from family member to family member, and I happen to be 4th generation. I've got 2 sons in the business now that are 5th generation barbecuers here in Decatur at Big Bob Gibson.
Was that hard to get them to go into the family business?
I tried to push them off, and I wanted them to. They went to college, graduated from the University of Alabama. When they graduated, I wanted them to go out on their own for at least a year and make sure that they wanted to come back to Decatur and get in the barbecue business. it's I just wanted them to make sure they didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to push them into the business, but Mama called, and they came back to Decatur.
Mama called or Daddy called?
Probably Mama.
Hey, we have on our Y'all show each Tuesday our barbecue barrister, Matt Heermans, and he has sent in a question for you because after going to your website, bigbobgibson.com, and looking at all the items you have there, and I've been a lucky recipient of a meal there in Decatur at your restaurant. I want to know, and specifically Matt Heermans, our barbecue barrister, wants to know what is your favorite thing to actually eat and maybe even cook there at BBG?
Wow, that really changes week to week.
Does it? Okay.
I will. I would say this week is the barbecue chicken with white sauce, but last week it was probably our beef brisket. So it's one of those things that every day I come into the restaurant, I try our barbecue. I want to make sure that it's up to where it's supposed to be as far as flavor and taste. But yeah, I eat a little barbecue every day. But I think this week, without a doubt, barbecue chicken with white sauce has been hard to beat for me this week. But
And that
it
is really
changes
that's y'all's
even
most.
away from the restaurant in my backyard because I do a lot of cooking in my backyard. Some weeks it's seafood, and then I'll get onto a pork chop craze or a lamb rib or a beef rib or it goes on and on. Anytime I can get outdoors, fire up the charcoal grill, and enjoy barbecue with friends and family, that's a good time for me.
Sure. And as Matt Heermans pointed out to me, your name might be Big Bob Gibson Barbecue. Don't think that that's just got to do with pulled pork. Your probably most famous thing served is your chicken, as you mentioned, with that white sauce on it. But you do have pulled pork. You've got a brisket served up there. You've got Brunswick stew. And if you're lucky enough to go into Morgan County, go into Decatur. You got two locations there, and check out Big Bob Gibson Barbecue. Chris, you mentioned that you cook when you're at home. I don't know how in the world you pull that off, but you have this business you're running. You go all around the country and world with barbecue stuff, and somehow, some way, that's just not enough for you. You're also a published author on the science of barbecuing and more. And you've already had two books. In fact, if you go to Big Bob Gibson Barbecue, you can order those books. You'll even get Chris to sign it and talk about how you got into the writing about being a pitmaster.
Well, I guess with my first book, there was so much history and so many stories about Big Bob Gibson and about the family through the years. That it's a story that needed to be told. It needed to be chronicled. Somebody had to do it, and I was in a perfect position to do that because I was learning the business as well and learning how to cook and through competitions and basically cooking repeatedly. I was in a good position to tell the story and write the book. So our first book is a lot of the old school barbecue recipes that I learned through the ranks, and then some more of mine as well in that book. But it tells the story of Big Bob Gibson and how it started and all the old recipes and stuff. The next book, Fire and Smoke, were recipes that I was doing when I was traveling. People hired me to do schools or do caterings or wine and food festivals or things like that. So Fire and Smoke is about a 50% direct grill and 50% low and slow indirect heat recipes that I do when I travel around the country. So those are some of my favorites.
And again, go to the website bigbobgibson.com and you'll be able to order that. Plus, you've got sauces and rubs available. You got some great merchandise that you can buy, and you can just white sauce it all up right there, courtesy of Big Bob Gibson Barbecue in Decatur, Alabama. Now, you've been benefiting from your fame and the fact that you've got this award-winning, 7-time now award-winning barbecue ledger for you. As we have noticed here in this interview, you're sporting a Yeti hat. Also, Kingsford Charcoal has been backing you here recently. Tell us a little bit more how you're branching out beyond just being a guy there at a pit in Decatur, Alabama.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of companies that I products that I've been using for years and that I firmly believe in. I've been working with Kingsford Charcoal for, gosh, well over a decade. Because that's what my father used. That's what my relatives used. That's what we used in the backyard growing up. That's what I used in competition. And when Kingsford found that out, we started working together. So we've been in a partnership for, again, well over a decade. So I'm their national spokesperson. I do a lot of traveling with them, consulting, product consulting. Um, I work with them in the R&D facility, and then promotion and marketing as well. So we do a ton all over the country. Yeti is another company that absolutely love their products, and we do a lot of traveling, and that's what I use on all my catering jobs and stuff like that. That's pack it up cold in a Yeti, then serve it hot out of a Yeti, and it's a good relationship we've got there.
And again, all this coming right out of Decatur as part of our Alabama Mountain Lakes showcase here of the Y'all Show. So we've been lining it up for all y'all. We got you shopping in Scottsboro. We got a great place, the Gun Runner in downtown Florence. Happens to also be Chris Lilly's hometown. And then, of course, we also brought you a great conversation with Malia Hames of the Alabama Mountain Lakes Tourism Office. All this is part of our showcase of the Alabama Mountain Lakes and North Alabama. And again, go enjoy this great white sauce that you'll find at Big Bob Gibson's Bar-B-Que in Decatur. And if you're not lucky enough to go there in the flesh, well, guess what? Just go to the website, bigbobgibson.com, and you can put your order in, and it'll be shipped right to your door. Hey, these guys are working. Ain't no coronavirus going to slow them down, right, Chris?
That's right. I tell you, our drive-through has been nonstop, and what has picked up for us. You mentioned all the products you can get online at bigbobgibson.com. We ship our barbecue nationwide. So anywhere in the country, we can ship it to you overnight or 2 day. Get it there, frozen, ready for you to reheat and enjoy Big Bob Gibson barbecue in your own home.
Okay, well, Chris, here's my address. If you want to go ahead and get an 18-wheeler, go ahead and get that 18-wheeler stocked up. I'll go ahead and share with my address. Chris, thank you for coming on. Chris Lilly, the pitmaster and owner of Big Bob Gibson Bar-B-Que in Decatur, Alabama. Great job. We're going to keep watching for you on all these food shows and more, and keep on winning all these barbecue competitions, sir.
You got it, my friend. Thanks for letting me join you on the show.
All right, thank you very much. And the Y'all Show's Spring Swing of North Alabama will be right back. We've got our final guest as Malia Hames from Alabama Mountain Lakes is going to be back on to kind of walk through what she's got called the When Business Returns to Usual Road Trips of North Alabama. You're going to be wanting to stick around for that. Might even talk a little Q in that road trip conversation. All that when the Y'all Show wraps up here on this Spring Swing Tour. Thank you for being a part of it. Yum, yum.